Hi, I'm Kent. So I've been exploring pottery for a little while now, and one of the things I found that I like are speckled glazes. I just like the little colors that are embodied in the main glaze. In the future, I think I might get some clays that are also speckled and try those out. But right now, I have a bunch of bisqueware that I want to play with. In particular, I'm going to try making some speckled patterns in just the glaze by applying two different types of glaze. Let's see if this works. It is definitely an experiment. So I think I have everything ready to glaze. I have some clean water over here. I have my immersion blender in two parts that I'm going to use to mix up the glaze. I have some bisque pots hanging off here to the side that should be ready to go. And then I have my glazes that are in these tubs. So I have a couple different glazes here that I think I'm going to use for the main body, and then a few that I'm going to try and make the speckles with. I have a black, I have a dark brown, which I think has iron oxide in it that tends to show through pretty well. I have a little bit of dry glaze left that was dark blue. So let's try this out. Oh, I also have over here a tray so that I can pour on my glazes if they won't fit into the tubs. So first, I think I want to mix up the glazes that I'm going to use for the speckle, and then one of the glazes I'm going to use for the body. This is why I like the head that detaches. I can put my fingers in here where the blade are and don't have to worry about them. And finally, my black. This black is made out of base glaze. It's the house base glaze I got from my pottery store, as well as some mason stain. It's 5% mason stain by dry weight. So the idea is I want to speckle these onto a pot and then apply the glaze. And so I have two options. I can put the speckles on the bottom, or I can put the speckles on the top. So might as well try both. The other question is, how am I going to actually speckle them? I found a cheap toothbrush from the dentist that I haven't used, so I'm going to use that to fling on glaze, just like that. This is probably going to be a little bit messy, but it is what it is. So I have no idea if this is going to work. We'll try it out. So I'm going to just take a toothbrush and fling it on. Oops, too much. Oh, that's probably a fail, but we'll go with it. There are people that spray on their glazes. It actually looks a little bit like that, not too surprisingly. So that is the dark brown on the bottom. I also have some pots that were made out of leftover slip that had a little bit of mason stain in it. I have no idea what color these are actually going to turn out to be, but I figure I might as well do some of these as well. See if I can not drip this time. Oh, failed already. All right, there's some bigger spots and some smaller spots. I think the other thing I want to do while I have this glaze ready is try applying some speckles to a pot glazed in this color. So here's a little spot. Let's give it a quick wipe down. And have him go for a swim. All right, I'll set this aside to dry. All right, now let's do the same thing with the black. All right, there's that one. Another black's way less messy. Okay, so now I want to try putting on the base color glaze. All right, and so while this one's still wet, I'm going to take my dried glaze and sprinkle on it. All right, this is not fun, so I think I'm just going to do that one that way. No more of those. I also don't want dry glaze powder everywhere. Okay, we will stick to the toothbrush method. So let's go ahead and do a couple more in the purple. All right, so those I just did, I will put speckles on top of the glaze. So there's the brown. I'll do one of the blacks. And I think that means we're done with the purple. So now I'm going to mix up the satin matte mitt from Amico. All right, we'll do top coats. I think we'll do the reclaimed clay in this one as well. All right, so now for the brown speckles that'll be under. I think we'll do the mystery color clay in this one here as well. And same for the black speckles. All right, so I think we're done with the green. Last up, dusk blue. This one I do not have a lot left. So I think maybe we'll just have enough to do speckles on the bottom. So here's the brown. And the black. So now the last thing to do is to put the speckles on the top. So we'll start here with this purple. I have the black still. All right, now the greens. All right, just need brown on top of the purple. And we need brown on top of the green. All right, was this a good idea? Well, the dry glaze on the wet glaze, definitely no. For the others, I'll find out in my next glaze firing, but for you, it'll just be a few seconds. We had a successful glaze firing. Let's walk through some of these pots. So first off, this is the brown one where I put the black speckles underneath. And here are the two blues. In general, the brown glaze did not play well with the other glazes. It'll show up more in some of these other ones. It just kind of shows up these splotchy spots. This one I liked. There's a nice subtle kind of black speckle effect under the bottom. So one of the things I might do differently in the future is making sure that the area where the black speckles are and the glazes are the same. Here the speckles kind of go out past where the glaze is. But the mason stain seems to pop through the glaze pretty well. All right, next I think we'll do the purple. So this one was a fail from the get-go. There are definitely these spots here where whatever was in the glaze didn't melt properly. It's not too surprising since it just kind of dried out. And this was a commercial glaze, so I really don't know what's inside of it. But I think that one is pretty ugly overall, so we'll put that into the fail category. And the ones with the brown speckles also didn't seem to work very well. This one, you just can't really see them. There's a few, just on the bare clay, but it didn't impact this one. So that one's not bad, but it didn't have the intended effect. And this one, it just crawled, I think, everywhere there was the brown. So these glazes did not play nicely together. So this one is also in the fail category. So 1, 2, and I'm going to put this one in the fail. So 3. And similar with the blues, the ones with the black mason stain glaze seem to do okay. This one is the one with it on the bottom. It's a much more kind of mottled effect. And this is the one where it's on the top, where you can see the spots a little bit more. So this is kind of cool. I don't know, dinosaur egg kind of looking. Again, I think maybe being a little bit more careful where they're applied. So one of the things I've seen before about adding speckles into a glaze is actually you want to center the glaze. I didn't do that. Obviously, I just put it on wet. But that way the glaze speckles are actually inside of the base glaze, and I think you'd have a better effect that way. So that's something I probably will try in the future. All right, these two are also the ones with the brown speckles, and I think kind of similar to the others, it just did not work very well. So I'll move those over here. This one, you can see a little faint spots where the brown's showing through. I don't think that one's horrible, but it didn't work as intended. And then finally, these here laying down, these are probably some of the best. So here is my darker reclaimed clay. You can turn into this kind of olive color, which is reasonable. And this is my just regular B-mix clay. I think all of these worked out pretty much as intended. The speckles are showing through. There's a little bit of difference between, I think, the order which it was applied, but again, the black mason stain managed to pop through just fine. So what are some lessons? I think it's always good to reflect on these experiments. Does the order of applying the speckles under the glaze or over the glaze matter? It does some. I think it depends mostly on the glaze though. So for my glaze with mason stain in it, the black mason stain in particular, it seemed to work out reasonably well either way. I think the order potentially would impact the amount of the speckles kind of showing through, a little bit more discreet versus a little bit more mottled. I think overall those are reasonable. I hadn't fired any pots with my reclaimed clay that had various amounts of mason stain in it. I think that also worked out just fine. It was a reasonable color. And then I have a handful of pots in the fail category. I might try reglazing these. I've never done that before, but if I do, I'll go ahead and show you guys. As I mentioned, I really like these kind of speckled effects. I've actually purchased some stuff to explore this more the right way. This one I was just testing because I had these materials on hand. So look for that in the future video as well. If you have any questions or comments, I'd be happy to hear from you. Thanks.